President, I just want to join Senator McCain in thanking Senator Isakson and Senator Blumenthal for the package that we're putting together here that we're talking about, and join them in thanking Senator McCain for really coming forward and giving reality to this idea that many of us have advocated for some time: more choices for veterans, more competition to see who serves veterans. And I think the numbers that Senator Isakson have used here today would indicate that veterans every month are embracing this idea of more choices. You know, it makes common sense that there are a few things that the veterans healthcare system should be better at than anybody else. They should be better at post-traumatic stress, dealing with that unique battle situation that so many of our veterans are facing right now. It's not a disorder, it's just a problem that veterans have because of what we ask them to do and where we ask them to do it. They should be better at the IEDs, explosive devices, dealing with the injuries that come from those kind of attacks, eye injuries and others. They should be better in all likelihood at dealing with prosthetics, because in the history of military service, so many of our people who serve have lost arms and legs, and the VA has been good at prosthetics because of that. But frankly, Mr. President, I don't know very much else that you should argue that they should be better at than the place you probably drive by to get to their facility. There's absolutely no reason to think that the Veterans Administration should be a better place to get your heart bypass surgery done, or a better place to get your renal cancer dealt with, or a better place to do almost anything else. If in fact there's that unique VA location that has become better at those things than anybody else, that's a great place for veterans to go. But our goal here should be to get veterans the choice they need to go to the location that works best for them. You know, in looking at veterans' mental health, whenever Senator Stabenow and I last year proposed the Excellence in Mental Health Act, particularly young veterans wanted to have more choices. They wanted more choices that work better with work and work better with their family, and let them access those kinds of facilities in an easier way, that kind of assistance in an easier way. So seeing the steps that this bill begins to take, I think, is something we should all embrace. We should also hold the VA accountable for doing everything they could, it appears to me, to resist the concept that the Congress wanted them to embrace. Every single obstacle. This bill addresses some of those obstacles. So I joined with Senator Moran in a bill he had, so the Veterans Administration can no longer say, well, the way we read the law in the strictest possible sense, if you're within 40 miles of a facility, no matter whether your health care problem can be dealt with there or not, you don't meet the 40-mile criteria. Well, of course the intention of Congress was that they'd meet the 40-mile criteria, and this piece of legislation, with the help of Senator Blumenthal and Senator Isakson and Chairman Miller in the House, begins to clarify that. I had a bill that the House passed some time ago, Hire More Heroes, that allows veterans to have some advantage in hiring in those companies that are right at 50 employees, that because of the difficulties of the new health care requirements for employers, those employers don't want to get more than 50. The Hire More Heroes provision of this will let veterans who have TRICARE, who have veterans provided care of one kind or another, be hired by an employer and not count toward the 50. Because they don't need to be counted in terms of who needs health care, because they already have it. That's what this does. So I'd like to see a better job done here. The St. Louis facility, the Cochrane facility in St. Louis, one of the more troubled facilities, I think, in the country right now, the big VA hospital there, is about to get its 8th interim director in 2 years. Now, there is some serious management problem when one of your major facilities with some of your significant problems as an agency is now on its 8th interim, looking forward to its 8th interim director in 2 years. No problems are going to be solved by a half a dozen interim directors, and the head of the VA needs to understand that, just like everybody else does. The waiting list for getting a VA appointment, that waiting list that's longer than 30 days, is more than 50% bigger than it was a year ago. So the choice aspect of this, looking for more flexibility in how you apply the ability of veterans to get their health care where they want to get their health care, is a good thing. I'm certainly disappointed that we're looking at another short-term extension of the highway bill, but if you have to put something with that short-term extension of the highway bill that moves veterans' choice and competing for who can provide health care to veterans in the best way, as this addition does, I think it's a great step in the right direction. I certainly want to work with Senator Blumenthal and the chairman's pledge to do everything he could to make this competitive environment where veterans can get their health care where they want it in the best way. A permanent part of veterans' health care is something I want to do. I had one of my good friends introduce me at a meeting at a VA hospital about a year ago, and he said, Senator Blunt's been telling me for about 10 years we needed to have more choice. I've been telling him the VA could do the job. I'm now convinced that more choice is what we need, and I think we're seeing our veterans and their families, many of whom have had great experiences at Veterans Administration facilities, but every one of whom should have a great experience, the best possible experience at whatever facility they go to in gratitude of the service they've provided us. And so I'm glad these additions are in the bill. I look forward to working with my colleagues as we try to make competition work better, as we try to ensure that it's permanent, and we try to make the Veterans Administration work for the veterans instead of being focused on working for the Veterans Administration.